Hello and welcome to Gamersledge Podcast, the only podcast where I sit here and talk. I don't know. Yeah, welcome. As you'll notice, you probably don't see this live because nobody knows to go to my channel to look for this stuff because YouTube is a bag of pain in the butt. And I can't stream to the Gamersledge account. So we're streaming to my account and then I'll upload it to Gamersledge later. So welcome. This is Gamersledge Podcast, episode 281. It's probably a larger number than that if you really got down to it, but that's what we're going with, 281. It's been a few. You know, this thing went from a weekly to a couple times a week to a monthly to daily rather. I mean, daily to a few times a week to monthly to a few times a week. It's been all over the place. So welcome. My name is Matt. I'll be your host for this evening. As you can tell, it's already mass chaos and we haven't even gotten to anywhere yet. With me this evening is Mitchell, friend of the show. Say hi, Mitchell. Oh, dear Lord. Did we freeze? Oh, something froze. Everything tonight has been hard. Nothing's worked right. Oh, you're back. Hey.
Oh, hi.
Okay, say hi, Mitchell.
Hi.
All right.
I tried, right as I was going to say hi, it just went.
Yeah, it's been that kind of night. It's just I've given up on anything going right. So if we get anything out of this, it'll be a miracle. So we're here to bring you the latest and greatest in our thoughts on the gaming industry, games, geekery, all other kinds of stuff. It's been a busy news cycle, and we've recorded none of it to our news thing. So we're gonna wing it a little bit here, talk about some stuff, and I guess we'll start as oft we are wont to do with the what we've been doing. I'm actually going to go first because I think one of your items is going to lead into something. So I'll start off. It's a pretty short list because, as I've mentioned the last few times, it's just I don't get a lot of time to do much. So I picked up Wolfenstein 2, started back into that, and that game is kicking my butt. I mean, just literally kicking me around the floor. I spent like 2 hours getting through one section. I tried one of those assassination things. It took me 3 days to get past. It was painful. And then I went on to the next part of the story mission and it just beat me up and down.
Dark Souls hard, like what you would imagine, or
no, not that bad. It was, well, I went in trying. It was really a save point thing, and it's probably a level reload or something I could have done if I would have looked hard enough. But it checkpointed me after I got discovered.
Trying to so the solid snake on you.
So then it's everything, you know, and then it's a matter of trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to get through all of the crud that's trying to run at me endlessly in this stupid.
Right.
And you know, it just one time it eventually finally worked. Right. You know, no rhyme or reason to why that time worked and the other times didn't, other than
fair enough.
So I don't know if the next part, I'm not even out of the section. I checkpointed again and I quit because it's been forever and pissing me off. So I don't know if I go back to the game, I might have to drop the difficulty level. I think I'm on normal.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have this problem with the first one. This one seems to have parts that are just really hard. And there's a point where things change with your character. And it seems like I die a lot easier after that change has happened. So are you renovating there? A lot of banging around going on over there somewhere.
Oh, he must have moved something. I don't know.
The other game I did play, and I managed to play all the way through the story campaign, is a game called Strike Suit Zero. I don't remember if you played through this. It's an older game that we had on the PS4.
Is it the mech suit fly thingy where you can go from like a plane into the mech and then back into the plane mode? And
yeah, but it's the first person one, not the third person one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Flavors of Colony Wars is kind of what I think of it, with a little bit of Macross mixed in there, because you have the ability for the strike fighter to transform into a robot that shoots out anime missiles. But yeah, it's 13 missions for the main campaign. I've gotten the 3 endings, but always the bad epilogue. So I'm not quite sure what I have to do to get the good epilogue.
Yeah, might be something a guide would be helpful for, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna give it one more go. I think it's time related. Think how quickly you do the final battle.
Okay.
But we'll see. I might just look that up quick too and see if it's worth the effort. There's another section to it of select historical battles from this war you're participating in that you just kind of jump in and try to do. Probably try and do that. I found it to be fun. It's not great, but it is your standard space plane game, right? I do wish there was a reload mechanic. Like it would hurt your time for mission complete, but if you could go back to one of the capital ships and reload and rearm and get back out, because there are just times where some of these missions are huge and there's no way you have enough armament to get through all of it, aside from your weapons that are infinite, your energy weapons.
Right.
But those aren't the best for everything.
Right.
You're going up against a ton of capital ships and you can only carry so many torpedoes. So it's an interesting from that angle.
Is your ammo capacity something you can upgrade in game, or?
I don't know exactly. You can't, there's no direct path. There are upgrades you get for completing certain goals in each mission.
Okay.
So like complete the mission in under this time, save all the ship X, blow up all the whatever. And I've gotten some of those, but I don't think they directly affect weapon capacity.
Okay.
Now different ships, right, affect different capacities, because there's a bomber ship that has an infinite torpedo. They're slower but more powerful than the regular torpedoes. Or they're basically the regular things I'm calling torpedoes. They're really technically rockets. They're not really torpedoes. But they're basically most useful against small capital ships. The enemy fighter AI by the end of the game gets insane.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they're way too good. Not unbeatable, but just annoying, right?
Right.
And they get into like this close orbit of you, and you can't turn quick enough to get a beat on them. And yeah, it's just just some annoying things. It tries to be kind of deep. Not trying to spoil anything, but it tries to do some interesting things story wise. Again, it's very similar setup to Colony Wars. There's the Earth government and there's the colonies out in space, and the colonies don't want to be ruled by Earth anymore, and so they rebel.
Kind of Gundam-esque as well.
Yeah, and you're on the Earth forces trying to stop the colonies from effectively destroying Earth.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a pretty fun game. The ship controls well. If you like a space plane game, first person, when you turn it into a mech, you do switch out to third person automatically. I guess you can try and do it first person, but I think that would be very difficult, having played how the mech version controls. I think first person mech control would be very hard to execute on. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was worth the time. It's a game I bought. I went and double checked to make sure it wasn't a plus game. It wasn't. I actually bought it. I don't know when or how much it was, but it was a fun little game. Again, it's nothing huge. It's not 4K, I'm sure. I think the last update to the game was probably like 2 years ago. So, but yeah, it was a fun little game. I enjoyed it. Again, I don't know how much of the extra stuff I'll do. I kind of had my fun. I got through it. I would like to see what the good epilogue is.
Right. Yeah.
But again, depending on how much work that is, it's not worth it. For those who care, there is no platinum trophy. It has like 8 trophies, I think, and the biggest is a gold. So there's that. But yeah, that was a fun little thing to do. Something to play, during the not late hour times. I watched the pilot episode of Krypton. Are you familiar with what that is?
Not really, but it's kind of Krypton before it goes boom, right?
Well, yeah, that would kind of be key. Otherwise, the show would be very, very short.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it takes place 200 years before the exile of Kal-El, exodus of
Okay.
Kal-El. I'm not sure what you would call that, but before,
Well,
before
just because it's more of a fleeing than a exile.
before being sent away from Krypton, which happens moments before the planet's destruction.
Mhm.
So this is 200 years in the past. Before that, it focuses on what would be Kal-El's grandfather. And kind of set up similarly to, I don't want to say this could be a bad comparison, but it's kind of Game of Thrones-esque in the sense of it's all about these houses, right? So you have the House of El, you have the House of Zod, you have the House of Vex, you have, I think, a couple other that were identified. And it's, there's very much a structure to the way the things are. There's the unhoused, I forget what they were called, unclaimed or whatever, the don't belong to a family name, they're the plebeian society.
Right.
So yeah, it's a different take on, from what I understand. Again, not a Superman expert, not a Krypton expert. I know this isn't an area that's been hugely explored, but the closest allegory for this I can think of is kind of the way Krypton was presented in Smallville, where there was the Civil War going on. And there was the whole series with the Zod and his army of Kryptonians that had been frozen in the Phantom Zone or wherever it was. I don't remember. But yeah, that Krypton is the closest that I can think of as a comparison to this. There's not active war, but the planet is largely uninhabitable outside of the domed cities. The main city that we see is Kandor. So the bottled city of Kandor, if you're familiar with Superman, this is that Kandor. Yeah. It's interesting take on it. It's interesting enough. I thought I was going to hate it, but it's actually interesting enough that I'm intrigued to see where they're going with it. They've made no secret of this. So the main impetus / antagonist of the overarching story is Brainiac. So there's that element to it. Very well done, Brainiac, from what little we've seen of him so far, too, actually. But yeah, without getting into too much more spoilery territory, I could talk about the things that have been shown in the trailers and stuff in the previews, but some people don't want to know that stuff either. So, it's a pilot. It's one of those things where it could go either way. But definitely would think you should, it's not a bad time to spend 50 minutes to check it out. If you don't like it, you don't, no harm, no foul. I'm not saying you necessarily, I'm just, people who might be watching.
Right. Yeah.
The PS View is still active for another few days. If you want to check it out, it'll be on there. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So let's see. What else did I have? I did, because I got a discount code from Google, because apparently they want me to spend more money with them. I did rent The Shape of Water, which was, movie of the year. Guillermo del Toro made this instead of Big Fighting Robots #2, which, from the sounds of it, Big Fighting Robots #2 would have been much better if he had been at the helm of it. But I was always leery of Pacific Rim 2, even if Del Toro had been at the helm of it. Yeah, I don't know how to talk about that movie. It looks like a Del Toro movie, if that makes sense. I didn't research this. I don't know this, but it feels like he must use the same cinematographer in every single movie he does, because whatever lens or lighting or filter or whatever it is that he does that gets that look to a shot is there. It looks like a Del Toro. It looks like a set without looking like a set, if that makes any sense. It doesn't look fakey like a set like Star Trek.
Right.
But it looks like a set. It's almost hyper realistic. But you saw that in Hellboy. You saw that in Pacific Rim. You saw that in Pan's Labyrinth. It's that same look. It's a real scene, and you can believe that that's a real place, but there's some sort of hyper realistic element to it that makes it look fantastical. This is the fish monster movie, right? So it's a cross between Abe Sapien and Creature of the Black Lagoon. It's very well acted. It is a fairy tale. That was something I didn't realize going into the movie. It is pretty much a fairy tale. So that was something I didn't really realize going into the movie, although one could have probably reasonably surmised that now that I think about it. But
right.
And I called the twist way early, so that kind of was a bummer. Movie of the year. Okay. It tries to address a lot of social issues, so I suppose that's probably part of what drove it. It got a little, I don't want to say preachy because it wasn't preachy, but it got to the point where, okay, yes, we get it. Social issues. It's the when was the Cuban Missile Crisis? 1962-ish? Okay, historians, you can just blast me there because I have no idea off the top of my head what year the Cuban Missile Crisis was, but that's the time frame. It leverages the time period to exemplify variations of current social issues. That may work or not work for you, depends on how it is. It kind of got a little too much for my personal tastes. But then there are parts of the movie that are really good. It is horny. The movie is very horny. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm selling people on this movie or not. For the $1.50 I paid to watch it, it was fine. I didn't feel like I had wasted the money to watch it, or $1.99 or whatever it was.
It sounds good. Although one movie that I've been kind of introduced to that I kind of want to see, that I've heard the soundtrack from is really good, is The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. I've heard of that. I really have no idea what it's about or what it is, other than it's a musical.
It's a musical. It looks like it's about some kind of circus troupe or something, but
I don't know if it's like supposed to be. Yeah. So yeah.
But it seems interesting. Just thought I'd bring it up since we're talking movies a bit.
No, yeah, that's another one. I want to see Get Out, even though I don't typically like horror movies. But
right.
I haven't seen that. It seems like that's one worth checking out at least. You still haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, have you?
No, I haven't. But I might have watched the CinemaSins video for it. I'm not 100% sure.
Whatever they said, it's all wrong because that movie is about as close to cinematic perfection as you get. So whatever they said, it's wrong. I've been watching The Magicians on Netflix as I do my ellipticaling at the request of your sister, and I think you mentioned something about it too. I started watching Greenhouse Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe that. Well, okay, let's start. Let's start with the opening scene. That is actual footage of the Challenger exploding in that show. If you grew up or lived when that happened, that's kind of a risky thing to do, is put the actual freaking footage of the Challenger exploding on this preteen show.
bit of a gamble there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't.
But yeah, you can also see why they'd be willing to take it. As you said, it's for teen, preteen, so they wouldn't know.
They wouldn't have an emotional reaction to it necessarily.
Right.
But
I mean,
when the launch happened, I'm like, that's an actual shuttle launch. Like, what are are they? Holy crap! That is. Oh my god! I mean, the image of the forked part coming off the explosion is like burned into my brain. I'll be, won't remember my own damn name, and I'll remember that. But yeah, I actually paused the show and kind of went, can't believe they did that. Now the guy's Israeli, so maybe, for him that seemed like it was an okay thing to do. I don't know. I guess it's based on an Israeli show. The same guy that was the showrunner creator for the Israeli version is also the main character, the girl. I can't think of her name. She's Israeli. You think I'd be able to remember it every time they force feed their Twitter handles into your brain at the end of the show? You think I'd be able to remember her name? It's interesting. I mean, there's some really, oh my gosh, really moments. Those are what I refer to as the Nickelodeon moments in the show. Okay, there is not GPS in a taser. I'm sorry, you're not tracking the GPS in a taser. Come on. Maybe in Israel they take the GPS, but
it's a sci-fi world. There's clearly advanced technology, so therefore we can't treat it with the laws of the natural world of our world.
Yes, the Louis. The magic MacGuffin. Well, it's not really a MacGuffin, but whatever. Plot device.
The magic foe.
It's the sonic screwdriver of this show.
It's a tricorder. It's literally their tricorder.
The magic do whatever you want it to do device. I finished season 1 last night, so I'm to season 2 now. So we've got the big reveal of what's in the cave. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, you're getting the weird plot stuff.
The
conspiracies.
That's the thing that just doesn't make a lot of sense. That this is like why does Kefka want to destroy the world stuff here going on? It's like their motivation at this point makes no sense whatsoever.
Fair enough.
I'm like, I told your sister at some point, okay, aliens. There have to be aliens involved in this somehow. It's the only way this is all going to make sense. Yerks or something. Oh, there's a throwback for you Animorph fans there.
Brain slugs.
Yeah, brain slugs. Magic brain slugs. Oh, that reminds me of a Voltron episode. No.
Magic Space Wizards.
Magic Space Wizards, yes. New Voltron, not old Voltron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the current.
The current episode. Okay, anyway, so that's the Greenhouse Academy. It does suffer from those are obviously not teenagers syndrome. It's most notable among the guys. They did a much better job with the girls with the way they do the makeup and just the framing and the outfits and everything, that it's harder to tell that they're older.
I think they did really well with I want to say Max, but the nerdy kid that's
like super Maximilian. Yeah, it's a double M.
Yeah.
It Max, does until you look at his throat and you see this giant freaking Adam's apple all over the place. And when he smiles, the way his face wrinkles is not the way a teenager's face would go. But yeah, there's some that definitely do better. The short blonde who's the character. I'm horrible with the characters' names. It's a whole season of this show and I can't remember anybody's freaking name.
Because there's so many of them. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Jailbreak.
The tattoo chick. She's reasonably looking. The main character, as long as she keeps her hair down, looks reasonably young. But when she pulls her hair back, okay, yeah, you're like 25. Almost all the guys. The brothers, the closest one, that are Max. Those two are the two that could pass.
We can remember Max. Why can't we remember Max?
I don't know.
We can't remember anyone else. What's her name? Ruby? This wasn't Ruby?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I can't think of the sister's name.
I can't think of the brother or the sister's name, so
Alex.
that's the sister,
Alex is the sister.
I think.
Anyway,
she had a guy name. She had a boy name.
Yeah.
Or a stereotypically boy name.
Yeah. Well, Alexandria is, is a girl's name, shortened Alex. Yeah, I don't. They're not super. I mean, the character archetypes are pretty standard. I mean, there's jock guy, activist chick, popular chick, and there's like only 12 kids in this entire high school apparently. They've got this giant building that looks like it should house like a couple hundred people, and there's like 12 people in there. Unless there's houses other than Eagle and Raven.
That's how we see.
Yeah. And then, so the plot twists are for the most part pretty predictable. I mean,
it's very Nickelodeon Disney-esque. I mean,
it's simple. It's basic. It's,
it's not trying to pull any showstops.
The horrible FX for the secret base door is just, oh man, why didn't you just do that off screen? Come on. But yeah, the overall it's decent. It's not something anyone my age group is going to do anything other than like a guilty pleasure of this reminds me of Power Rangers or something, but
because their children are like, hey, the show's decent, watch it.
Watch it with the kids or watch it with after the kids so you can discuss it because your sister and I go on dog walks and she wants to talk about the show she's watching and stuff, so I try to watch at least some of them. So it's some of the dialogue is really actually good. Some of the conversations and some of the dialogue is really good. And then they'll go and do something. And oh, by the way, this school is like a season of MasterChef. I realize that every time they go to do a class thing, it's like a MasterChef challenge. They don't actually have class. They don't ever learn anything. It's all MasterChef challenges. It's kind of crazy.
No, the actual classroom stuff just happens off screen.
Yeah, off screen. There you go. They actually have math class and tests and stuff. That just all happens off screen. That's what it is. So yeah, that's been an interesting one. And it's 22-minute episodes or something like that. So it's not a massive time commitment.
It's an easy to binge show. It is kind of what it is.
Yeah, Magicians is interesting. We're getting close to the end of the first season, and I think I've got it figured out.
I've been told to take a look at it. I haven't yet, just because
there's a lot of stuff. It's pretty good. It does start out rough. First season, again, it kind of depends on where everything goes. The longer it goes, the better it's gotten, but it kind of all depends on how it ties in. There's still some really incredibly lazy writing, and I don't know if that's because they're trying to base the characters on the book. This is based on a book series. So I don't know if they're trying to make the character really similar to the book character, and it just doesn't translate well to live action versus written word. But there's some seemingly lazy writing, lazy characterization building. But then again, it could just be that's the way they want the character to come off and whatever.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I did try one other thing. I thought, hey, it's just going to be us two tonight. I got a thing for a new mobile game on my feed, and I'm like, all right, why not? I'll give it a try. So it was called Marvel Strike Force. And if you ever wanted to play FFRK with Marvel characters, this is your game. It's not 16-bit like FFRK is. It's 3D rendered characters, but it's essentially the same thing. You recruit characters through mission and through different events, and there's orbs you can get, and the orb has a chance of dropping a character or gear. You level up your character as you level them up. You can equip new gear to make them stronger. Some of them are character or class specific gear. Some of them are generic gear you can equip to any character in the correct slot. It's got the Diablo kind of thing where, there's a ring around the character with different types of gear you can equip with them. It's why am I completely? It's a turn-based.
Okay.
So it's your character's turn. You select which attack you want to do. There's a regular attack and a charged attack.
So if it kind of reminds me of. Have you looked at the Opera Omnia game for Final Fantasy, the Dissidia one?
I have not. I know Mark and Kate have been playing that pretty heavily.
I've been playing it a bit too, and it that kind of sounds a bit more like Opera Omnia, but
and it could be. Now the thing is, it is very much a mobile game. The beginning part that I played through the first story mission, did the first couple of events that you get to unlock Crossbones and Electra. And your heroes and villains, right? That's the other thing is that there's a thing so big that you're recruiting everyone to this thing called Strike, and you're recruiting heroes and villains. You don't care. Whoever you can bring into your team, you bring in. So like I have Crossbones and Luke Cage, and they're basically the same class of character. They do an aggro, a taunt, right? So if you have somebody like Punisher and my team is squishy, I mean, that guy will die like somebody looks at him wrong. So, he gets attacked. He gets attacked in the first round and he's down to like no health. And then, I'll use the taunt, and then that'll keep him okay until hopefully I can get around to my healer to run the heal. Now, the problem with the healer is the heal's the charge attack, and it takes 3 more turns to recharge the heal. So after you use it, you have to go 3 more rounds before you can use the heal again. So with that healer, I'm assuming there's better healers that'll recharge more quickly. I think everybody has 4 actions that can ultimately be unlocked. You start with 2. And then I don't know how you unlock the other actions, but what I was getting to is the point is there's like 4,000 types of currencies in this game.
Oh, dang.
And they give you a ton up front. So there's no limitation. It's not even close to being limiting, right? The money you need to level up is plentiful. The orbs you need to do this are plentiful. The little that you need to do that are plentiful. I'm sure that dries up about 4 levels into the game.
Possibly, depending on how heavy you go into things.
Yeah, I would gamble that it dries up maybe after the second story arc, possibly.
So does it have like a stamina bar or something like that?
Yeah, it's energy. It's energy. Like I stopped playing. I had like triple my max energy because it keeps giving you stuff. So it was like, okay, I should keep playing because it's giving me all this energy, but I'm done. I don't want to invest anymore in this because I see where this game is going and I don't want to go there. So yeah, I think I got a message. You're charged up to max energy. I'm like, I had triple energy when I quit playing. So you mean I'm down to max energy? So yeah, I don't think I'll be picking it back up. Bonus for it. One of the characters you start out with is Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Luke Cage, and generic healing character number 1. And then you get Electra and Crossbones you can get from the events pretty quickly. You have Luke Cage, Spider-Man, Punisher. I think those were the ones I had within the 45 minutes or so I played. But they're all like low level. They're like, I think the highest one I got was, I think Punisher was a 3-star. But again, he was still squishy. He was the squishiest of the bunch, which is kind of weird. But again, there's four elements and there's 4 class types, and they all have some commonalities to them.
Right.
Spider-Man and Daredevil. Daredevil's a guest character that'll come into your team. I haven't got to recruit him yet, but he's guested into my team. He and Spider-Man and Daredevil are basically the same class, which is a straight up brawler with 1 special attack, based on, Daredevil throws his billy club and Spider-Man, web, goes up, punches an enemy, backs off, webs them, and then launches himself into another attack on them to do extra damage. There are different So you just hit the attack button, right? And it goes and does something. And just like a
Mhm.
regular RPG, sometimes it'll do a regular attack, sometimes it'll do a double attack, sometimes it'll do like a critical attack, and you go through this whole big action sequence of strikes that they'll do. And sometimes I couldn't figure out what triggered them. I don't know if it's random or what it is, but you'll do a team up attack. And it always happened with Spider-Man. So I don't know if that's a Spider-Man specific ability or what it was. But then both characters go, and like Spider-Man and Luke Cage would do it, and Spidey would punch it, and then Luke Cage would punch him back. And then so they just like ping pong the guy back and forth with punches. So there's some cool elements to it, but again, I just see all the mobile trappings there, and I'm like, nope, out, I'm done. Because I'll get into this and I'll put enough time into this, and then you'll go, oh hey, yeah, now you got to pay me if you want to do anything. And I'm just not going to waste my time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I've talked for like way too long now. What have you been up to, Sir Mitchell?
So, as far as games go, I've been playing a little bit of Smite. Haven't touched the new character at all yet, really.
The new character?
Achilles.
Ah, okay.
So, he relatively new. He just got off his super expensive period, so I could get him if I wanted to, but I don't know if I will.
What class is he?
He's a warrior, so he's in the 3 lane. He generally would go on his own, but he does seem like he could be the assassin class or kind of work as a pseudo assassin, because he's got high target damage, single target damage, so that makes him easily able to do kind of the DPS role that assassins normally fill for jungling, while being a bit tankier than most assassins. So I think I've heard of people doing that at least. Then I also picked Mega Man X Maverick Hunters again to try and beat the final boss. I have yet to be successful in that, just because Sigma is family-friendly words. Evil.
Pain in the bum. Yes.
Yes. yes. So then I'll skip the other game I've been playing to go to the shows I've been watching. I'm fully caught up on Voltron. I was actually caught up on Voltron before this guy was caught up on Voltron, but season 5 is pretty good. And
the action sequences are exquisite in season
5. Then I've also been working through Netflix's anime selection of their new releases. So I've actually gotten through all of the new anime releases in all their episodes.
Oh my gosh, do you do any schoolwork, child?
Yes, this was mostly during break. Kind of. So I'll start with Killer Bee, the beginning, because that's the one I started with.
That one looks interesting.
It is. It's actually really interesting and fun to watch it through. So the main character, there's kind of 2 main character groups that you follow that eventually merge into one main character group, and to solve the mystery of what's really going on with this. And there are people who know from the beginning to a certain extent of what is going on. And we don't find out some of that until way later, which it doesn't telegraph very well. So you are kept in the dark about a lot of things up until they want you to know it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's pretty good, Killer Bee. I recommend watching it if you have Netflix and you like anime. It's probably a combination of like a shonen and a mystery type anime, I guess is how I would describe it. Which I know is an odd combination, but it works. Then the next one I watched was Aiko, or AICO, but because it's got periods. But
that's the one I really wanted to watch. That's the alien or the human genome thing gone wrong.
Yeah. So the premise is that there are the idea of using artificial carbon structures to replace limbs or heal wounds or those kinds of things. And the premise is that during an experiment, with some of these artificial carbon life form type things went haywire and started taking over a stretch of Japan. And the premise is that a group of characters have found a way to try and shut down what they call the burst, which is the haywire carbon matter. So yeah, I really like that one. It's a lot more sci-fi, so it's definitely in the sci-fi vein of anime, and it's got some really nice moments in it. It's a really good anime overall. I would recommend watching it. I mean, pretty much all that I watched, I'm going to recommend, just because Netflix is actually doing a really good job with these, and I know they're not entirely developed just by Netflix. They're developed by other studios too, but they work well, and all of them have been pretty good. So then the next one that actually might be my favorite of these so far, and I'm really hoping for a second season, is called Children of the Whales.
Okay. Yep. I've seen the ads for that one too.
So the premise of that is that there are these moving islands that are ships in this desert ocean. So pretty much like an ocean, but made of sand. And these ships just kind of move across them. And there's one island in particular called the Mud Whale that everything in the story revolves around, kind of. So without trying to spoil too much, on this island, there are these people who are called the Marked. The Marked have these magic abilities that allow them to do various different tasks, generally very similar to like telekinetic. It pretty much makes them telekinetic to an extent. And they can also use this magic energy called Taima. It has some physical presence, yet it doesn't sometimes, and it's all kind of confusing. They don't really explain Taima, what it actually is capable of doing and what it is, other than it's just this magical energy that the Marked can use. But the people who are Marked have exceptionally short lifespans. Like, they don't generally live beyond their late 20s or 30s. Okay. Whereas there's also the unmarked on the island who don't have access to Taima, but they live a normal human lifespan.
Okay.
And 90% of the mud whale's population is marked.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's very interesting just to see how this... And they're completely isolated from the rest of the world, too. There are, like, complete other nations outside of the mud whale.
And that's kind of the premise, right? Is one of those other nations is trying to get the Marked for their own use?
Kind of, without going into too much, they do come across another nation, and that's kind of what kicks things into motion, so to speak.
Okay.
So yeah, but again, I really recommend that one. And then the last one
likes Netflix anime.
And then the last one, it's probably their newest release, I think, as far as the animes go, is called Sword Guy the Animation.
Okay, I've literally been force-fed ads from YouTube or from Netflix for all of these shows.
So the premise of Sword Guy, which I should clarify, it's spelled
G-A-I?
Sword G-A-I, as in, because Guy is the name of one of the characters.
I thought it was Sword Gal at first, but then I'm like, that's a dude, so yeah, that must be an I, not an L.
Yeah. It's Sword Guy because Guy's the main... Well, yeah, he's the main character for all intents and purposes. But the premise of the world of that one is that there are these legendary weapons that exist, like Flamberge, Excalibur, blades of like legend and stuff that have been supposedly forged, but they're kind of their own entities as well.
This is sounding like Bleach.
The blades can kind of form a parasitic / symbiotic relationship with a human.
It's really sounding like Bleach.
Except there's no, well, and then again, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but the weapon can there's pretty much two things that can happen. Either the weapon possesses someone entirely, and they become, because pretty much what drives these weapons into creation, into having this sort of consciousness, it's not really a true consciousness, it's more like a sheer murder instinct.
Okay.
So if you grab one of these swords, you'll constantly have a voice whispering in your head, kill, 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 kill.
Alrighty then.
And so it pretty much whittles away at the wielders' insanity until it fully possesses them, and they become a creature that sole intent and purpose is to kill things horribly and painfully.
All right. A little less like Bleach.
So, but there is an organization that is dedicated to collecting these weapons before people can get their hands on them.
Is it called Shield?
No.
Please tell me it's called Shield.
It's not called Shield. And they lock these weapons up. But sometimes people still get a hold of them. And what they do is it's their job to get those people before they turn into the Busomes, which are the Kili monsters, which look like large suits of armor that are kind of sci-fi-esque, but not really. And then stop them from transforming into Busomes, which they dub these people Chrysalis. So what they do is they literally put them into what they call the cold sleep, which slows the process that would turn them into the Kili monsters.
So if they're separated from the sword for long enough, does it stop, or are they pretty much done for regardless?
Because what actually kind of happens, it's not really truly explained, but what happens is the weapon actually kind of merges into their body. They become the weapon.
Okay.
Which is kind of how it kind of possesses them, and they turn monstery.
Is all of this well known, or do most of these people who end up with these weapons not know what they're in for?
It's kind of half and half.
Let me guess. Our hero grabs one with the desperate need to do good, and yet can't end up controlling it. Hello, Amaro Ray.
Actually, no.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Not going the standard route. All right.
The way that they introduce the main character and how he gets wrapped up in all of this is actually really kind of dark.
Okay, you don't have to go into it.
But I would actually. This is one that it's probably on the same level of Children of the Whales for me. Those two are both very well written and very well done, and I want a season 2 of Sword Guy as well, and they set it up for more seasons. So,
well, yeah, this is the Netflix model now. Is like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So hopefully, whichever ones get the more views, I'm sure we'll get sequels.
Yeah. Although I will say that I really like. I'm not one to generally say these kinds of things about these kinds of shows, but I really like the art style for Children of the Whales. At certain points, it can get kind of psychedelic. Not Devilman Crybaby, mind you, but it's like, imagine if you took like a picture book, but it was painted by Van Gogh and Starry Night to a certain extent at certain points. But the characters still kind of maintain their normal art style. It's a very interesting art style if you watch it. I like it. It's a very nice art style, I think. But
so is that more the environments and the backgrounds and stuff then?
Yeah. If you watch it, you'll see what I mean. But it's all very well done. But yeah, all all those new animes that Netflix just put out have been really good. So watch them.
Well, that's good. I'm still waiting for them to finish Godzilla because I kind of want to know where they're
Yeah,
going with that.
I want to know where they're going with that too. Netflix, if you're watching this, get on that. And get season 2 of Sword Guy and Children of Whales.
Yeah, it's never as easy as you think it should be, apparently.
Yeah.
Much like getting
But
this podcast off the ground tonight.
yeah. So then down to the game that I was talking about. So this isn't one that you would generally find very easily. You really wouldn't know about this game unless you watch Markiplier on YouTube. It's called Hearts and Heroes. So what it is it's a fan game that was made for, well, not for Markiplier, but kind of with the intention of him being able to play it and for about the idea of like YouTube communities. So the premise is that there's when people fall asleep, sometimes there's these hubs that people can end up in, and those who are in the hub go into other people's dreams to try and save them from their demons, kind of called terrorlings.
Okay.
So, and this is how you get your party members in the game. So each new level, you gain a new party member, and it has it's like a classic RPG style for everything, like 16-bit. Well, actually, yeah, 16-bit level sprites, and the combat system is very RPG, like old school RPG-esque, turn-based combat and everything. Well, actually, it's not really turn-based. It's more everyone puts in the commands and then they go in the order of speed value.
Yeah, that's still turn-based. That's actually an even older version of turn-based.
Yeah. So it has that style of combat, and it has like the 3 classes have subclasses, but the 3 primary classes are the defender class, the mage class, and the fighter class. So you've got your tank, your magic DPS, and your normal DPS. And then those kind of branch out into their own subpaths. But back to the main premise. So you go into each person's dream, and you have to fight these terrorlings, because the terrorlings are manifestations of each character's inner demons and weaknesses that are threatening to kind of tear them down, as it were, and then slowly like take over their mind. So what it is the job of your character in the beginning is to go into those dreams and save these people. And you go from dream to dream, slowly building up your party, and it gets really real towards the end, if that makes any sense. And it's very well composed and very well done. The music is very well done, the animation's well done, the story was well written. And if you want to play this game, all you have to do is go to Markiplier's channel and look for the video that he did of it, which granted is a 4-hour long video. So if you want to watch through that,
so is that a complete playthrough? Is it a 4-hour
that's-
game basically?
yeah, that was a full playthrough, and that was pretty much him like semi speed running it, but not really. He tried to get as much as he could out of the game. He went through it pretty thoroughly. So that's full gameplay if you're taking it at a decent pace.
Now, is this PC? Obviously, I'm assuming it's not browser based. It's a file you download and run.
Yeah, it's but you just go to that video, and he has the link to download it in the description. So
do you know if this was made with like RPG Maker or?
I do not know what program they used to make it. That does seem like it could have been made with RPG Maker. It seems like that kind of style from what I've seen of other RPG Maker games. So it could be that engine, but I'm not 100% sure.
Because you're saying this was made by somebody. This wasn't a studio. This wasn't even an indie developer or anything. Well, I guess it would be an indie developer in the truest sense of the word, but this isn't someone who's put out any other games. This is just
no, but it was a team. There was a full team that worked on this. I don't know how. I'm guessing that they were probably all part of Markiplier's fan base, and they probably met through somewhere on his channel doing something. But they worked on this game for it was either like, was it 4 years that they worked on this game?
wow. Okay.
It was either 2 or 4. I'm assuming the longer of the two.
Okay. So this isn't something they just threw together in a few months and
yeah, no, this is something that they worked on a lot, and they put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's something that all of them have had an interest in, like in building games and stuff. So this was something that they were passionate about and wanted to do,
right,
as a group.
And to think that a 4-year development cycle got you a 4-hour game, that's,
yeah,
I'm sure they were doing it on the side. This wasn't like their primary.
Yeah,
I'm guessing they had other jobs or school or whatever.
Probably. But as I said, I'm not sure if it was 4-2. It might have been 2.
Even 2. That's a pretty rough ratio to.
Yeah. But I mean, they had an art team, they had an audio, they had a sound team, they had a graphics team. It was pretty much like a full production, as if they were their own little studio. But what it is really is kind of, if you play through it, I think you'll understand this if you're part of the YouTube community or like to take part in YouTube. But if you don't, it's kind of the way that they're trying to show it is, it's kind of an allegory for them for what it's like to be part of like a YouTube community or like a follower of a YouTuber, and what those kind of communities can be like for certain people, and what happened, like how those kinds of things work to a certain extent, because the hub is representative to an extent of Markiplier's channel, as he's the head, as the character in the game. Markiplier is the head of the hub. So it's all very interesting. But this kind of leads into our discussion topic that we kind of talked about earlier. So yeah. Do you want to kick it off, or?
Well, no, you can go ahead. You're kind of setting it up there. The I guess just a couple of clarifying questions on the game itself. So this is clearly set up. This is clearly set up with a purpose, right? There's some heavy allegory. They're not hiding it here. This is pretty obvious that they're setting this up as a, if there was a specific precipitating event that motivated this, or if it was just a commentary on streaming culture as a general thing. Is that, again, community behavior is pretty consistent in any form it takes, right? The internet, the web, World Wide Web, and I'm going to be a geek about it and differentiate between the internet and the World Wide Web. Kind of allows for a different form of interaction and allows for people who might otherwise be socially restricted to express themselves both positively and negatively, right? If we were a good channel and good YouTubers, good streamers, we'd have thousands of people watching us do this. And I would be much more reluctant to get up in front of 1,000 real people and talk about stuff. But, we can do it in this forum because it feels somewhat protected. Now, now I assume where this is going is we're kind of talking about are we talking about like comment sections? Is that kind of where this is going? And it's psychological aware that having someone critiquing your every move can have.
Yeah. Also, as I understand it, and as a member of that community for Markiplier's following, they're generally a pretty positive group. That's a pretty positive community, and from what I've seen of like the comment section on his videos and stuff, um, it's a very positive community. But to a certain extent, and this doesn't focus just on that kind of commentary, but it does to a certain extent, especially later in the game, especially when it comes to Markiplier's level, when
Now,
it actually gets to that point.
he's actually been pretty straightforward about having some mental health issues
Well,
in
I
his
know
life, hasn't he?
I don't know if he's pretty open with his followers. Yeah, he's fairly open. I don't know if he's ever had like I don't know the extent of that, but I know he has had definitely some health and some physical issues throughout his
Yeah.
life, and there have been complications that way. I don't know as much in the other direction, but
Maybe that's what it was. I knew there was something.
yeah,
Maybe I kind of assumed it was mental health because
he's also a very strong proponent of like the mental health and that kind of stuff. He's very supportive in that way, and he's a very emotional man.
Can't dye your hair that color without being emotional. I don't think.
He's back to black. He's back to black.
Was it back to black? Back to black.
He's back to black. But like at the end of this game, he was literally like tearing up. So this game has some really powerful messages, and I definitely recommend you if you don't want to play the game, at least watch Markiplier's playthrough, even if you have to like segment it. I know I did just because of school and work and stuff that I could only watch so much at one point at a time.
So overall, is this game a again, we're getting into questionable territory here as far as spoilers kind of go, but
right.
Is how do I want to say this? Okay, I'm going to say this and then you can tell me if it's too much of a spoiler or not.
Okay.
Is the game more of a celebration of what a community that forms online around a commonality, whether that be a person or an idea, can be a critique similarly of what an online community could be, or see all of the above?
I think it's definitely more the first one. It's definitely more of a celebration of like what a community can be, and what, even if people don't know each other personally, what someone like Markiplier does for people, even if he doesn't know them, and what even just him posting videos and just kind of existing and having this community does for people, and how that helps them sometimes, even just it being there.
So almost even more kind of the secondary effects, like primary effect is I'm streaming for your entertainment. Secondary effect is you may find some deeper meaning in that, or in the community that you share commonly around that.
Yeah.
But it's very community focused, right? I mean, that's
yes.
The idea is this community. And I know this is where I have a harder time with things, right? Because growing up for me, games weren't a social thing, right? I didn't play with other people. It was me versus the system. It was me versus the game. I didn't go to arcades, so I didn't sit there with my quarter waiting to play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat 2 or whatever, so I've always struggled with these ideas of communities. I'm in a couple of Facebook communities around different things with games, and the stuff that people throw in there, I'm just like, I would never throw that into a chat with a bunch of people. I personally wouldn't. I mean, I get that they can, and that helps them, I hope, but it's a hard thing for me to relate to. I guess I'm just kind of a more closed off person, I guess. I don't know.
No, there's definitely something to be said for what you're saying, that there's that kind of difference in the way that gaming has come to be, in a way. Because in back then, even for me when I was younger, it wasn't even now, I'm not really a online multiplayer type of gamer. I focus more on single player games and that kind of thing. But well, when I have access to, otherwise I just got to get my gaming jollies elsewhere.
Oh
um,
dear.
how else? I don't know
No,
words.
fine. You fine. I'm just picking on.
But I guess even like just the accessibility we have to games that maybe we may not be able to play ourselves through things like YouTube or streaming services, and the way that the communities kind of form around that, and how it's become social not only in just playing games with each other, but also in the way how we view games and how things can kind of grow that way socially, just out of the idea of being able to enjoy watching someone else do it in a way that
Yeah.
just kind of does. Yeah, it's become a very social thing, even if it's based around single player games.
Right.
Because I mean, Mark doesn't play it. I mean, he's the primary YouTuber that I watch, but he doesn't play a lot of online multiplayer games except for a couple games here and there, and most of them are single player games that are story based. But yeah, you were saying.
No, that's the thing too. I mean, there's multiple facets to it, right? Like, Mark, won't barely play a game that doesn't have a multiplayer aspect to it because he wants to experience things with people in that way, right? So that's a huge driver for him. Can I play this with someone else? To the point where he will find any rando willing to play with him on this game because he wants to do that rather than do something solo, which is why he never finishes RPG main story missions. I think he did actually finish Persona 5, even though nobody's actually finished Persona 5. That's a podcast Beyond joke. I think it's Beyond, or is that Game Informer? No, I'm pretty sure it's Beyond. Anyway, getting my podcast mixed up. But so then he's of that mentality that games are to be shared with people and experienced with people, and me, it's as more of a, I don't know, I guess if it's part of being an introvert or whatever, it's that, kind of get rid of people and let me play with the game aspect of it that I enjoy personally. Now, that's not to say there haven't been multiplayer experiences that I've really liked. Something like The Last of Us, where it's really kind of an intimate, small, tight online experience, which I don't think you ever played, but it's basically 4-on-4. Right. And you have to work with your squad, and you have to work with your teammates, and you have to do things in an intelligent way. You can't, it's not just run and gun and shoot everybody in the head. Right. There's definite strategy and target tactical to it. And that can be immensely fun. That said, I still enjoy the single player more than the multiplayer, but that was an example of a multiplayer I really did enjoy. I mean, when I first met Mark, we played hours of the multiplayer in first Killzone. It's probably the only one of those types of games that I put that much time into. But, we found methods that worked for just the two of us going in there to just do things that would get us points. Right. So we weren't running around shooting people in the head because that wasn't our skill set. But we would find things that we could do within the rules of the game types we were playing that would work objectives and get points.
Right.
So there's definitely things there, but yeah, it's just different. I don't know. I don't know. I get, and again, this is me, and this is kind of a Marty McFlyism of me. I get nervous that I would stream something and it would become popular. That's like my nightmare scenario is I'm out there streaming something and all of a sudden, for some reason, I become popular because now there's expectation. Now there's pressure. Now there's inspection. We were talking about today was, well, I don't know if it was today or today I saw the article of a extremely popular Twitch guy did something that's got people all in a twit now, and
Yeah.
there's another debate of, do we have to hate this guy now, or is it okay to still like him? Much like you were saying with Markiplier, he had been kind of held up as this, yea, verily, this is a good example of how to be a good streamer and a generally decent human being. And, you do one stupid thing, which personally blame on some other stuff, but whatever, that's me. And now is that over for him? Is he done?
Yeah.
Is he, how many strikes do you get after the PewDiePie's, who's still incredibly popular and still going, and the Logan Paul or Paul Logan or whatever the heck his name is? I don't even know. But you know what I'm saying? How many of those do we go through before every single mistake anyone makes? These are just normal people, right? These are not superstars. These are not people with PR agents. These are not people that have handlers or script writers or people that prepare them to go on to a talk show and do an interview or anything. These are just people that are just sitting in their room playing a game and get good, GUD, I guess, and become popular for some reason, right? And there's no magic to the formula to this anymore. There used to be a formula. Now it's just kind of happenstance, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then, things happen, and then somebody's human and they make a mistake, and, they get raked for it. And that doesn't seem right to me either. I mean, now some people do incredibly stupid stuff and deserve to be,
Logan Paul
abashed for it, but I think I used that word wrong. Sorry. Punished for it. But, sometimes it's just, I don't understand. See, that's the other part that just makes me not want to be a part of any of these communities, because I don't understand the rules. I don't understand when something's fine and when something's wrong. I don't get it. But anyway, that's, again, neither here nor there. Anyway, so this game is very specific. Do you think it's very, very specific to the Markiplier community? Can it be applied to other communities or to other scenarios of similarity? Are there similar scenarios, or is this really specifically just focused to the Markiplier community?
I think you could apply it to other situations. Just because it's based around that community specifically doesn't mean that it can't be applied to other communities of similar build or caliber or that type, where it's a very, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Right.
I feel like it's very applicable to pretty much any type of situation. I mean, even in something like, if there's any type of group that has like a central force or something that has a relatively large following, where the community, I mean, as it is with any community, there's good and there's bad. There's always going to be a little bit of everything.
Right.
But to a certain extent, I think that this game wants us to focus more on the positive side of that and try and make us realize that even if there's some bad out there in these types of communities, that ultimately there's good that comes out of it too.
Okay.
I think it is a bit more specific towards the streaming and video community, where the central focus is a bit more vocal and has a more active role. But I think it can still be applied to other things as well.
It can be applied to, in at least some way, to pretty much any group dynamic, right? And every group is a microcosm of the society it's a part of, right? I mean, you get enough people together, you're going to get archetype representatives of pretty much everything. So I guess we kind of haven't gotten to the point you were originally proposing we talk about with this.
Right.
And I guess that's partially because I've been just kind of grilling you with questions more specific about it.
That's good, because I mean, we've been hitting some really good topics along the way there too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so this game has a message, right?
Yes.
This game
Yes.
has a very specific thing it wants you to take away from it, regardless of whether you're a part of this community or a part of a community that's like it. It has a message that it wants you to take away from it, and hopefully either leave you feel affirmed or contemplating your place in these types of interactions. Is that a
Yeah.
fair statement?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think it's definitely designed to make you think about it, and it's definitely asking you a question about, like, it wants to remind you of what a community can be, and to try and maybe work towards that more positive side of it and try and be more that way in communities rather than, the darker sides of communities, as it
The
were,
typical perspective of the
the
comment section.
the quote unquote hater type stuff.
Right. So, um, we kind of talk about this. So as games as art kind of
Mhm.
conversation, the dreaded our games art conversation. Do you think that that's what this is going for? Do you think that this is going for kind of a, not an artistic necessarily in the quality of the graphics or the quality of the music, which is, left to personal interpretation. Some people will never play anything
Right.
in a 16-bit sprite thing because they just can't handle the way that looks. But in its message and its story, do you think, does it transcend that art level kind of discuss part it? Wow, does it get to the point where that kind of comes into the discussion here, is that this is really an artistic piece on social constructs and interaction rather than a game? And does it achieve that without feeling preachy?
I think so. I think it could be seen that way. For me, that's kind of also like asking, are books art? Because in a way, for me,
Which
books
they're
and
pretty
video
openly
games,
accepted as art, books, literature is
yeah.
at least.
So I guess in that way, if for me, books and video games, in a way, kind of fall into the same category, or at least, nope, bad, Mitchell. We're not going there. I'm not going to be gamist. I'm not going to
Story,
do
yeah.
that.
Real games have
But
story.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So that, like, if there's a story to the game, then it's just, I don't know how that's any different from a story in a book in my mind, to an extent, just because that's kind of the way I guess I viewed things as like a kid. Like, that's what games were for me. They were a story. They were something to live through and go through, kind of, with the characters, similar to a book. As you know, as I was an avid reader and a now avid gamer, as I was even an avid gamer younger, but I kind of put them in the same area. So if books are accepted as art, I guess I would have to argue that games are as well, and that this game fits well within the boundaries of that. It definitely, in a way, is a social commentary on that kind of society and what those kinds of communities can do.
Right. And now, so then why not just write a story? Why not write an article or an editorial or even a novella or short story that would convey the same message? What about it being a game is special, do you think? Or is it just that that's the way to communicate to this community because that's what they bond around is gaming?
It's partially what you just said. It's also, that's kind of part of the community, but also I believe that in video games there's a certain level of interaction that you can get with a game that you can't get with an article or a book, because it's hands on. You're choosing to do these actions as the character, and you're, as in, at least with RPGs, you're playing the role of these characters and kind of guiding them through the story as you would go through it.
Is it a fixed story, or are there branching decision points?
It is fixed.
Okay.
As I understand it, it is fixed.
So, this is a really bad allegory because there's almost no commonality here. But you have different kinds of looks at games as art, right? You have something like Shadow of the Colossus, which has virtually no story. I mean, you have to imply or infer rather almost the entire story of what's going on.
Right.
And that's more about how the game looks, about how the world is, about how it's presented to you. That's where the artistic comes in, where it can convey a story to you almost with no story, right?
There is also kind of, I'm going to get a little bit off track here, but for Shadow of the Colossus, there is also a bit of a question of morality in it too.
Right. So that's part of the inferring, the way that the colossi die, the way that the music that plays when they finish one off, everything about that game makes you go, oh my God, I did something bad. I'm going to go do it again. That's what we are. We're gamers. That's what we do. We don't stop because we did something bad. We go do it again. But that is part of the reason I don't do GTA games, is just because I can't wrap my head around being a constant bad guy. It was hard enough in Infamous. But the other side of this is like, take something like Senua, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and to me that game is brilliant. I mean, everything about that game is brilliant. The portrayal of Senua is amazing. The way the story is written, the all the little asides, graphically it's amazing. It presents a world to you that you don't know. I mean, you don't know what's real and what isn't, just like the character herself does not know what's real and what isn't. It presents you with such a haunting picture that I think even if you didn't realize what it was trying to present to you, you would still intuitively, inherently understand, right? Even if you didn't know what the game's main premise was, which is to experience something through the eyes of someone who has a mental illness, right? Who has, does not see the world in the way that a quote unquote normal person sees the world. Even if you don't really know that was the point of the game, you can't quite help but understand and appreciate the artistry and the masterfulness with which that was done. As the current meme goes, prove me wrong. So, is this the same? They're hard to try to, for me, especially having not experienced, what is it? Hearts and
Heroes.
I can't say, but is there a similarity there where, is someone who is not a part of a community going to gain some understanding of what it's like to be a member of one of these communities, where you really get in and you really get deep and you throw yourself into it? Is someone going to gain, if someone had absolutely zero idea of what a gaming community is like and they played this game, which I know sounds kind of oxymoronical, but
right. Yeah.
Would they gain an understanding of at least what these people are trying to say a gaming community can be?
Yeah, I believe that even if you don't play games or aren't part of like a gaming community, you just play games by yourself, that this is definitely something that beneficial to watch or play, just because of the message that it does have. I think they'd be able to get it even if they didn't hear us talking about it or like know the premise ahead of time. I think it would still be something that would be beneficial and that they would glean something from and be able to gain some idea of what it's like or or the message that they're trying to portray. I think that they could gain something from it.
Cool. It's hard having been in this game, pun intended, as long as I have. And, I've seen things come, I've seen things go. I've seen, we've got God of War coming out, and wow. And a lot of the members of the press and the communities have gotten to play the first 3 hours of the game, get some hands on with it. Corey, I want to say Balrog, because that's, if you switch 2 letters in his name, it comes out Balrog. It's Barlog, who is the director. He's been with God of War since the first one in some capacity. Wrote the first tree. He wrote the first script for 3, but I don't think he was directly involved with the production, and they actually went in a rather different direction ultimately with it. But he's been fairly involved with God of War for a long time, and he's the director of this one. And to just see and hear about how this story is different from the previous God of Wars, how it's similar and how it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas there was no message in the original God of War, there was none. I mean, there's no deeper meaning in God of War 1 or 2, maybe 2 a little bit. 3,
carnage and destruction, all of it.
3 at the very end. Okay, you could say there's a little bit of something there, but this is completely different. This is closer, the way they're describing it. This is closer to something like The Last of Us than God of War 1 through 3.
Interesting change of tactic.
Yeah, but I mean, finding the relatability, right? And I get it. Some of it's people that grew up with it were a certain age at one point. They get older, their life circumstances change. It's like reading a book you read as a kid and then reading it as an adult and going, holy crap, that's completely different than what I thought it was. It's the same kind of thing. You watch the games mature, and you watch these characters eventually, hopefully, mature. And it's the end of Uncharted 4. It's potentially this God of War game. There is such a capacity for narrative expression and allegory and relation. That's not what it wrote. Relationability.
Relatability.
Relatability. Thank you. That you can't help but find that there are some of these things in it. Yeah, you can just mash X through any game, right? And the equivalent, right? You can, you've got the people who skip every cutscene. You got people that don't. I'm not here for the story. I'm here to shoot stuff. I'm here to run around or whatever, right? But and some of the games, yeah, you can just as well do that because it really doesn't matter. But there's other things out there where it's really, really people pouring their heart into it and really have something to say, whether you agree with what they're trying to say or not, is, a hallmark of art, if nothing else, right? What I take away from the end of The Last of Us versus what Mark took away from the end of The Last of Us. And I think a lot of that has to do with I'm a parent. I think almost any parent would look at how that game ends differently than someone who isn't.
Right. Spoilers. Well, the game's been out for forever, but
yeah, we're almost ready to. Okay, so if you don't want to, do you want to know what happens at the end? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I know what happens at the end. I was just going to ask what your take from it was like. Is your take that you would do what he did?
Oh, Joel was 100% right. Joel was 100% right. That is exactly what a parent would do. That was the right ending. If it had gone the way Mark wanted it to go, that would have ruined that game for me.
Yeah, because that probably would have been contradictory to what had been built through the entire.
That would have meant the entire story was pointless.
Which kind of would have been a commentary in of itself, but
but still, it would have.
It wouldn't be the same effect.
No,
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't have been.
Because I don't know the story all the way through. I know what happens at the end. I don't know the in betweens really as well. But that's conversation for another time.
That's a game you should play. You really should. It's worth experiencing.
Maybe when they do the re-release for the upgraded graphics and stuff.
Oh, there's a PS4 version already.
Oh, well then, let's do that sometime. When I get my own system.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, the argument that ultimately, spoiler for the next like 30 seconds, starting now, that Joel is the bad guy. No, he's not the bad guy. He totally acts as if any parent would. He basically effectively becomes a parent of Ellie. Yes, you lie to your kids sometimes. Yes, you do whatever you have to protect them, to help them in whatever way it's possible. Sometimes helping them is letting them fail. Sometimes helping them is guarding them from stuff. And that was the perfect natural ending. If they had gone with Joel going, oh, well, so bad. Hey, cut her brain up, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to go drink a scotch now. That would have ruined that game. I don't see, how it could have possibly. And the thing that ultimately seals it for me is the voice actor whose name is escaping me at the moment. Troy. That's Troy Baker, I believe. Yeah, that's Troy Baker. Okay. He completely agrees with how the story played out. And to me, nobody knows Joel better than the
voice actors.
Right.
That's why a lot of characters
the voice actors know the characters better than the writers know the characters.
Yeah, that's like what was on the podcast the other day, that when I was there, when they were talking about that, because in a way, the writers will actually sometimes defer to the voice actor if the voice actor does something different than what was in the script.
Right.
Because sometimes that makes more sense.
Yeah. They'll come up with things that you never expected as a writer, one of the things that was on the podcast, they were talking with Corey Barlog for the God of War, and Christopher Judge plays Kratos this time. He did the motion capture and the voice acting for him. And Christopher Judge, if you ever saw Stargate SG-1, is Teal'c.
Oh, Teal'c.
Yeah, Teal'c is the new Kratos.
Can we have a clip of Kratos saying "indeed"?
He has to say "indeed" somewhere in the game. He just has to. that has to be in there somewhere. But he was talking about there's like 43 different variants of in the game for Kratos' responses to things. And they were like, and they were like, Chris was such a great guy. It was amazing. All we had to do was write pensively, and he would pensively, and end of conversation of I agree. All they had to do was put a little translation at the end, and he would come up with exactly what Kratos should sound like if he was just going in that situation. So these voice actors, they pour themselves into these characters, good ones, and
I love how I find it funny how much side sass we throw sometimes. It's just like throw a little bit of shade there, throw a little bit there, just gonna like totally like low key just totally insult something.
There's bad voice acting, right? I mean, there was
there's bad voice acting.
There was a whole thing with where there were companies. There were companies who would literally just go out into the street and grab people and bring them into a recording studio. They have no idea what they're doing. They're given this script and they're just told to read the lines. No frame of context. Even professional voice actors for a long time wouldn't necessarily know what game they were doing. They wouldn't know what the story is going on. They were just reading random lines out of order because they were worried about spoiling or leaks and whatever. And, that's much different now, especially with motion capture, right? These people get much more involved. They know their characters. They know their stuff. There's all the stuff going on with the Screen Actors Guild and, how people have to know what it is they're working on. Some of the people working on Final Fantasy 15 even didn't know they were working on Final Fantasy 15 until way late in the process, So that's interesting when that kind of stuff happens and works. But there's just some flat out bad voice acting out there, right? I mean, okay, you played Mighty Number 9. I'm sorry. I don't know what the heck
Yeah.
they did there, but that is atrocious.
Type 0. But that might not be the VA's fault. That could just kind of be other issues.
Type 0, I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know what the heck happened.
Did that get fixed ever? I feel like there was something that I heard that they fixed some of the voice acting and some of the translation
I think they
issues.
were supposed to. I never went back to it, so I can't honestly tell you if it's any better or not. But anyway,
Besides
that
the
has
point.
been a great conversation. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up. Any closing thoughts on that other than go watch the video or play the game?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just that's pretty much it. Like I can't try and sell this any more than I already have. It's an excellent game. And Mark is excellent at what he does, in my opinion. And he's a really great guy. So if you want to watch the video and see the way to get some of that, maybe it helps to watch him do it rather than just play it by yourself. And hell, honestly, I would recommend doing both. I would recommend watch him, even if you want to just play the game first for your own experience, just to get the story and stuff. Even then, watch it.
Okay,
Watch
question though, critical for some people on whether or not they can watch this. Does he do the goofy scream through the entire thing? Because I cannot handle that.
Goofy scream?
Yes, he's the one that always goes, isn't he?
Okay,
like
yeah, he can have some odd noises sometimes, but no, he doesn't do that very often. That's what he does more in horror games when there's jump scares and stuff.
He must have had a phase where he was doing a lot of horror games then.
Yeah, he actually did have like a large his games, and a lot of his stuff were horror games. Because I mean, that's what people enjoyed watching him do, because of his reactions and how the way he did it. But it's really interesting to see him go through this. But it's actually kind of funny because there is sort of a joke in the game. There's an ability that you can find in the game world called Mark's Manly Screams.
Oh god.
Where it actually play when you activate it actually plays like a short recording of some of his audio of him like doing it. And it's just funny, but it's a great homage to kind of what Mark's done and to what gaming communities can be, or YouTube communities, or those kinds of things can be for people, and what they can become, and what I think that we should strive to be in those communities, for what those communities should be, rather than having the stereotypical what people think of. Right. What people think of when they hear like the comment section of the videos.
Yeah, and that's gotten bad. You know, the gamer rage and that kind of stuff has gotten pretty bad, and there's a lot of negative stuff out there about that kind of stuff now, and it's the gamers gate. Apparently, you can't like the book Ready Player One now because of Gamers Gate. Gamergate, and I don't really understand that argument, but
you'll have to explain that afterwards.
Yeah, I can't explain it because I don't understand it. Well, I guess
I don't know what Gamergate is, so you'll have to explain that afterwards. So
probably we can talk about that sometime. Sure, you can Wikipedia it and you get the rough idea. But anyway, we do have some news we can hit up here quick.
Okay.
So let's see. We had both consoles release their upcoming games with their paid service announced. So for April on Xbox, Games with Gold. For the Xbox One, available April 1 through 30th is The Witness. That's a puzzle game by the same guy that did I can see it, but I can't think of the name of it. Doggone it. The time manipulation, putting the puzzles together, side scroller. I can't think of the name of it. I should know this, but for some reason it's escaping me. Anyway, generally reviewed as a pretty good game. The puzzles are pretty tough. I haven't played it, but from what I understand, the puzzles are pretty tough. Also for Xbox One, well, they're all technically Xbox One because the 360 ones are backwards compatible. But anyway, also specifically for Xbox One on April 16th through May 15th, this is their weird mid-month one, is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I believe Syndicate was the one that had all the really weird, bad graphical bugs initially, but as I understand, most of those have been patched out. So if you're a Assassin's Creed fan and you haven't played that one or just want to try out an Assassin's Creed game, there's one to try. On the 360 side, for April 1 through 15, it's Cars 2. And for April 16 through 30th, it's Dead Space 2. So apparently it's the twos package. Again, watch those dates. That's one of the kind of tricky things with the games with gold is the game when they're available, and the timing of it can be a little tricky. Honestly, I don't know that. I haven't heard anything about Cars 2, so I assume it's not necessarily the best game ever, but Dead Space 2 obviously is a very good game. The 360 games are that are put out for games with gold are backwards compatible with Xbox One, so you will be able to get those for your Xbox One if you want. Then on the PlayStation side, their games were announced today as well, and for the month of April. And as always with PlayStation, how this works, PlayStation Plus, the first Tuesday of the week, the games come up, and then they go down the first Tuesday of the following month. So this will be April 3rd. These will come out. And for PlayStation 4, you are getting Mad Max, which I'm not sure exactly how or if it lines up with Fury Road or not, which sadly enough is a movie I still haven't seen. Yeah, I know. You can yell at me later. Not you, other people. It's generally reviewed as a pretty decent game. It's not great necessarily, but it's got pretty decent reviews. The other game for PS4 is Trackmania Turbo. Aside from being an arcade style racing game, I have no idea. I've never heard of this game. I did not look up a Metacritic on it or anything. I have no idea. But those are your two PS4 games. On PS3 and Vita, it gets even weirder because I've not even heard of most of this. PS3, you've got In Space We Brawl and Toy Home. I did not have time to look them up today. Apologies. But I'm sure you can fairly easily, if you're curious, look those up. On Vita, you have 99 V-Does, not Vitas, V-Does, and Qbert Rebooted. Qbert, at least is a name I recognize. I have no idea what Rebooted is. I'm guessing it's a remaster of the original Qbert plus all kinds of different modes, I'm sure. That one is cross-buy with the PS3 and PS4, so you'll be able to, if you have a PS3 or a PS4 and you want Qbert Rebooted, you'll be able to snag that as well. So those are your free or free with your paid service or whatever your preferred phraseology is for that. In some other news, I got a smattering of PlayStation news here. Starting today, PlayStation VR bundles are now all permanently $100 off. There was a sale not too long ago where I picked up a PSVR with the Doom VFR bundle and got that with the $100 off. That is now the regular price for the standalone bundle, which is the Worlds bundle. So it comes with the camera, PlayStation Worlds, and the headset. And Doom VFR are both now $299 permanently priced, and the Elder Scrolls bundle is down to $349 from $449. So it is also $100 cheaper than previously it was. So if you're looking for time to get in, it's probably a good time now. The downside to that is price cuts generally mean one of two things. It means they're either getting ready to announce the follow-on hardware or they're getting ready to just stop this VR experiment and move on. I don't think that second one's very likely. I think it seems like VR is here to stay for a while, which is kind of surprising to me because I really thought it would die off. So not so
not
much,
going to
but
die off till we hit full dive.
yeah, well, that's what it's going to have to take for it to become mass appeal. But I'm guessing somewhere between E3 and PlayStation Experience, we're going to be hearing about a new headset. Could that also mean we're also going to start hearing about whatever the follow-on console to the PS4 is? Intriguing thoughts are all
too early.
What?
Too soon. I don't have money.
Yeah, don't worry. It's that never gets better. So in other VR things was announced quite a while ago. I don't remember exactly when, but it might have been the last PlayStation Experience. The Wipeout Omega Collection was to be getting a free PSVR update, and that's finally out today. So buy now, get now, or if you buy before, you get now. So yeah, if you had the Wipeout Omega Collection and you want to try playing Wipeout in VR, which sounds like the ultimate of barf fests for me, go ahead and download that free update and see if you as well can hurl like none other. Actually, I've heard it's really good. I've heard that it actually be not so bad on the motion sickness, but again, there are also people who can ride every roller coaster known to man and get absolutely no motion sickness. So
kick it.
Yeah, well, we are not going to do that one. I was debating. That one.
Wait, I thought you were talking about Wipeout. Me doing Wipeout. Yeah, no, thank you.
No. Yeah,
I don't want to become a Pokemon and learn Hydro Pump.
Yeah, no, yeah. Do you ever read the Penny Arcade comics?
No.
That's one of the things that one of the two the character Gabe, is well, the two characters Gabe and Tycho are allegory for the two guys that make the comic, right? And Gabe, every time there's been VR, there's always been some barfing. It's like walking in with a bucket, puking into it still from the VR session. Is like I think it was reviewing Moss. Is like is like, well, I made it through, even though I went through 5 buckets or something like that. So that should tell you how good the game is. Something to that effect. So yeah, we're not alone there.
Yep.
So there's some reports that third-party docks are bricking people's switches. Specifically, one of the Nyko portable docking kits. Yeah, so, you put your Switch in the dock so you can play it on the TV, right?
Yep.
So these are not
getting third-party docks. They come with those.
They come with one, but if you have more than one TV, or if you want to take one for traveling and you don't want the big bulky dock that it comes with for traveling, there are some other alternatives that are a little more travel friendly. Excuse me.
I'd pack up the bulky one.
So there's several visitors to the Switch Reddit have warned that the dock has busted the USB-C port on their console, rendering them unable to charge. Nyko reps have basically come back and said that they've had some isolated issues with specific products. So it does seem that perhaps some of the issues seem to have gotten worse since the firmware 5.0 update. So whether that's an intentional side effect of something Nintendo did or an unintentional side effect, we don't really know yet. This is really still kind of hearsay-ish stuff at this point, so we're not 100% sure. But
don't buy any third-party dock.
Yeah, but you might, before going out and buying a third-party dock, you might want to hold off there and just kind of keep your ear to the ground. Other PlayStation news, we have a release date was announced today for Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age, and that will be coming out in the western regions of the world on September 4th. It does look quite good. It is a rather extensive localization. They've gone through, added voice acting. The Japanese version didn't have any voice acting, so the Western release will have voice acting. They've reworked the menus to be more Latin friendly, I guess. Latin based languages friendly.
Did they fix Circle and X?
He did not say if they fixed Circle and X. I believe Dragon Quest is one of those that's fairly proud of its Circle and X Japanese alignment. So I think that that's gonna do some stuff. The UI also has icons, so it's easier to discern. Like if you have different types of swords, they'll have different types of icons.
Mm-hmm.
You see that in a lot of RPGs.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But apparently that was missing in the Japanese version. You can pre-order it now on the PlayStation Network to get a theme and some extra in-game items. I believe there is a DLC / season pass type thing available for this that will get you some extra DLC to throw on the game. I haven't played a Dragon's Quest game in 25 years, so I don't even.
I played part of 9 ? DS. You were an angel. If anyone cares to correct me.
So, but yeah, the Dragon Quest is a system seller in Japan still, so.
So just out of curiosity, since we're talking about new games, and this is kind of news-ish, have we heard anything about Ni no Kuni 2 in terms of reviews? Good, bad?
I did look it up on Metacritic today, and it was holding at about an 85 or 87, if I remember correctly, which for an RPG is pretty good.
Yeah, that's.
Let me bring it up and see, since we can do that live on the show here. Let's see. Okay, we're in Metacritic now. Let's get into the games section. What's Ready Player One's at a 64? Ni no Kuni is holding at an 85 right now based on 70 results, which for an RPG is pretty solid. I mean, that's something else we didn't talk about. Another thing that was I've been bemoaning my inability to get God of War just based on a lot of different factors, but I found out today that the soundtrack is being done by Bear McCreary, who is one of my favorite TV soundtrack writers. And so that's just like another thing. It's like, why are you doing everything in this game for me and I can't get it? So yeah, but yeah, same with Ni no Kuni 2. Your mother would love the city building aspect of it. It's
got a city building aspect.
Oh, you didn't know this? Yeah, part of the core premise of the game is you get kicked out of your kingdom, and so you have to start your own kingdom. So
we kind of get some like dark cloudish type thing here, but not really.
A lot of dark cloud references when people are talking about this. So yeah, you start with like your castle, and then you build your city around the castle.
But okay, just did a quick search for Ni no Kuni 2 review, and it's holding a 9 out of 10 on Polygon, 0.8 from IGN. So pretty good across. Makes me want it, but I can't have it.
I know,
because I is broke-ish. Because I is a college student.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not.
I thought I crashed. I didn't crash.
You kind of phased out there for a second, but you came back. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I said something and then you didn't respond. I'm like, oh no, now he's gone.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I was just kind of thinking. But
Far Cry 5 right now is holding at an 81. I know a lot of the early ones I saw basically kind of slammed it for not being socially aware enough, but it seems like enough others have come out in the favor of it as it's a Far Cry game and you do Far Cry things in it.
Is that a new release?
Yep, that's a new release. That's out this week.
Okay, cool.
That was just out yesterday. Sea of Thieves is holding at a 69 right now. I've heard more bad than good about Sea of Thieves. That's a Xbox rare developed game for Xbox One. Basically open world sea pirate simulator thing.
Yeah, I saw a short video that Mark did on it with a couple of his friends online, and on it. I guess it's fun for like a multiplayer game if you just feel like kind of joking around. I guess seems like those kind of like maybe like a party game or something that you just do with your friends for like half an hour to pass some time.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of depth there to really get into it. And maybe that's stuff that they'll work into the game, but it's already, I'm going to say this without the reference that I saw earlier, but it's already the fastest selling game on Xbox One, I think is what I saw.
Interesting.
Um
I mean, that's kind of Microsoft's console platform is that they're big on the multiplayer and that kind of thing. So that's
yeah.
what a lot of Xbox people do, whereas PlayStation tends to be a little bit more single player orientated.
Yeah, so that's okay. Some caveats there. Sea of Thieves is fastest selling first party new IP for Xbox One. That's a lot of caveats.
Yeah.
So yeah, because that's new IP and Xbox are not phrases that are often
Often
uttered
uttered.
together and I know they're
Yeah, no, they
working on
like their
that.
franchises.
Yeah, and then they're working on it. To be fair, they're
Yeah.
trying to do
I
stuff.
mean, pretty much every console system likes their franchises. I mean, Nintendo's got theirs, Sony's got theirs, and Xbox has theirs. Even if
Yeah.
Xboxes aren't franchises aren't as good as the other.
But personal preferences, personal preferences.
Yeah.
But yeah, the doobie 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 doobie. Yeah, it's a hard world out there, and it's both systems are doing really well, and it's good that both systems are doing really well. I do have my preferences, but I was hoping Sea of Thieves would be good for those folks out there that were wanting it, and it seems like it's your mileage may vary type game depending on what
Yeah.
you are.
Um.
Mark posted something in our Twitter this afternoon, and it's got to do with CD Projekt Red's new game Cyberpunk 2077. I don't. It's VG 24/7 is the website that it's on, so I don't really know exactly how authoritative this is, but it's setting up some of the world, some of the classes and functions, factions in the world. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, so I don't really know what it's like. But if someone's interested in going out there and taking a look at that, just so you know, it is out there. CD Projekt Red, obviously being the developer of the Witcher series, and this being their delving into a cyberpunk, obviously based on the name of the game world. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah. No. What was the name of that game?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay. Gotcha. There we go. Cool. Because I kind of spaced for a sec. You cut me off. What did you cut me off? Oh, I was just gonna say that this is kind of grapeviney, and I'm not exactly 100% sure that this is true, but I heard that we have a minor statement on the new Pokemon game that will eventually come at some point, and that it is going to be a main core Pokemon game, which means it's not going to be part of any spin-off series like Mystery Dungeon or the Shadow Pokemon series, or Coliseum series, whatever you want to call it. Which I would like to see another game for Nintendo if you're watching, which you're probably not, but if you are, wink, wink, poke, poke, nudge, nudge.
So you're talking about the Switch.
Yes, the one that's coming out for the Switch eventually. It is going to be a main core Pokemon game.
All right. So this will be region, what, 7?
Damn it, you're gonna have to move. Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, New 8.
8. That was close.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot this story. I didn't realize this was happening, but we mentioned this game earlier. A game that I would very much recommend to folks to play because it is a craft of love and of a very strong voice. But Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is coming to Xbox One in April. I did not realize that was coming out. You can pre-order it as of now, Xbox One for $29.99. And that is in North America. I'm not sure about other regions. But a story heavily influenced by Norse legend and mythology. And it does ultimately deal with some pretty deep, interesting topics aside from just the story of the game. But just experiencing this, and I don't play games with headphones on. This. I like my surround sound system. I played this game with headphones on because
that's the recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, it even says that when you boot the game up, that.
Yeah. For best experience, play with headphones, which right. I agree. For what bit I played, it's if you want to get the full experience for what it's trying to show you, what it's trying to tell you, wear the headphones.
Right. And they use
earbuds or whatever your preferred ear.
Right, and they don't have to be anything special. They used a process that what's it called?
Pretty much, you have 3D audio.
Yeah, you get 3D audio with just two speakers on the side of your head. There's a name for that. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yeah, it creates it creates the illusion of surround sound because you hear surround sound with only two ears, right? So you only need two sound sources to be able to figure out a 3D relational sound. And it does a lot with that to kind of get around you. I watched one of the makings of, and they've actually got this central speaker. It's a 3-dimensional speaker. So it's microphone all the way around, and the people are actually walking around it in like this swarm, getting closer and further away from it as they talk. And it's this weird dance that they do with the microphone. But when you see what they did, and then you can hear what the result is in your ears, it's crazy. Level 5, best known for their fantasy work, is teasing that they might be doing an RPG set in modern day.
Ooh. I like Level 5.
Yeah, Level 5 is a solid developer. Known more for their Toriyama style of art, and then they've done some games that were Toriyama characters. So that's an interesting what they could be doing with that. Even though I don't barely play RPGs anymore because they take way too many hours. Yeah, so I think that's enough. We've been at this for a bit here.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think we've covered a good bit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely some good games out there. There's definitely some great stuff out there. Apparently Family Guy is doing a crossover episode with World of Warcraft.
Also Supernatural did a crossover episode with Scooby-Doo or something like that.
Yeah, I'm like a season and a half behind, so I have no idea what that's about. But yeah, I saw some of the stuff on that for social media. So yeah, it's a insane thing.
Final thoughts.
Yes, let's keep this show rolling. If it looks like I haven't been looking at the camera to talk to you all, it's because I haven't. It's because I've been reading the web pages on my laptop. So sorry for that.
Don't worry. I'm always looking at your face, so I'm never looking at the camera because I'm always looking at your face instead. So It just looks like I'm like looking down, and it's just like, or you can't even see my eyeballs at all. Probably it looks like I look like Barack right now with my eyes closed as I'm looking at my camera.
No, but one thing that drives me nuts with the show of the magicians is, well, one, it doesn't cast like hyper attractive people, right? So for the most part, the characters are relatively normal looking individuals, except the one girl who, I don't know, she's got these, okay, this sounds horrible, but she's got this like dopey, stoned out of her mind look on her eyes constantly. I'm actually kind of doing it right now. It's like her eyes are only ever like a third open. And she's just got, you often find her with her mouth half open when they're filming her. So she's like, oh, it drives me nuts. Get off of her face, please. That's there's a lot of,
you want to go to the beach.
There's a lot of drug use and drug references, so she might be stoned out of her mind. I have no idea. But yeah, anyway, where am I going? I'm lost. Final thoughts. That's where we were going. Do you have any? I have no thoughts. Do you have any thoughts?
Hearts and Heroes, Markiplier. Check it out. Video and game.
That's not that. That's the same thought you've had before. That's cheating.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just picking on you.
No, I should be. You go, and then I'll come up with something better.
Well, I need to uninstall Strike Force quick because it's giving me like 10 alerts while we've been doing this recording of all the things that I should be going and doing in the game. So I need to uninstall that like now. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what I'll be playing next to replace Strike Suit Zero, assuming I don't go through and do some more of the extra stuff in there. Basically what I've been doing is I've been going to whatever's installed on my PS4, listing it from oldest to newest, and then grabbing the next game that I haven't played in the oldest list. So I have no idea what will be coming up next. Stay tuned for the Onward Saga if I have to go down to Don't Hurt Me or Not in Wolfenstein 2, just so I can get through this silly thing. And be excellent to each other.
All right. I guess my final thoughts are keep an eye on Netflix because they're actually doing a lot of really good stuff with what they're doing. And keep an eye on that because if you have Netflix and you're into watching pretty much any kind of show, they've been working on pretty much anything and everything. So go, if you have Netflix, get in there, see what they're doing, take a look at it, and you probably won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll ever experience a content drought similar to what, those of us who lived through the earlier, the late 20th and early 21st century experienced, especially in terms of geeky and sci-fi and fantasy and that type of stuff. I don't know if you'll ever experience something like that, but yeah, this era is unbelievable to me in the amount of stuff that's out there, and not just stuff, but good stuff. There's still bad stuff too, but there's a lot of good stuff. So yeah. Yeah, it's insane. So thank you for watching. This has been Gamersledge episode 281. Episode Why Is Everything Hard? Because that's how I was feeling when I started this. You can find us at gamersledge.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, pretty much anything. Take a look and see if you can find us at Gamersledge. I couldn't see that. What was that?
I wrote subscribe, but my camera flipped it backwards.
Oh yeah, it does. It likes doing that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, +1 heart, whatever it is on the specific platform you find something from us. If there's something you would like us to do, if there's a game you would like us to try to stream, if there is something you'd like us to talk about, if there's a topic you'd like us to tackle, if there is a taco you would like to Mitchell watch eat, go ahead and send that in via whatever platform you find us in.
As long as you pay for the taco, I'll eat it.
So with that, we'll move on. I do not have a word of wisdom or thought or anything. I don't have a joke off the top of my head, so we're not going to do that because Mark doesn't.
We just kind of play it by ear.
Yeah, well, I would like to do a good. I would like to play it by ear. Yes, I got it. I would like to do a joke that's good to offset all the bad ones, but I'm not going to take the time to try to find one right now. So till then, I'm Matt.
Game out.
That's Mitchell, and game on.